friends, it's Nancy. Bet you thought you'd never see this journal done. So maybe you remember me working on this tea-stained piece of linen tablecloth that's cross-stitched with these pretty pink flowers. I finally finished it. Whoops, a little piece of paper stuck there. Okay, let's just take this off. Boy, that piece of paper just wants to stay. Anyway, it's an inch across the back spine. It has 4 signatures, lots of lace and charms. There's a little porcelain rose. Here's a little pearl with gold filigree. Another little beaded charm. And here comes the cat. Here's a pair of scissors. All right, cat, away you go. So I'll bring this up close again. So I put a layer of flannelette between the book and the linen and did some hand quilting stitches to give some texture and dimension. And let's just go through it. So the inside, I have used this fabric that has an embroidered look to it. It has letters and little embroidered motifs. So the front and back are fabric. And I added this little piece of lace, both front and back. I believe this I cut from an old tablecloth, vintage tablecloth. Inside here is a vintage flashcard with the word yarn on it. And the reason I chose that is because I had in mind that this would be a book about tracking projects or saving ideas or making little shopping lists, and not just paper crafting, but all kinds of sewing and knitting and stitchery projects, which is why I went with something very unique. All of the pages, well, I should mention here's some fabric and some crocheted lace. All of the pages are stitched together. So pieces of paper that are all blank, ready for writing on, have been stitched together. And I kind of hesitated doing this, and then I consulted with my crafty crush, and she said by all means you need to do that. So lots of ephemera in here as well. So here is a vintage package for knitting needles, and I added this little piece of vintage fabric that I've stitched on the top. Reinforced the back because it was really soft, and put in some washi tape to sort of protect it. And I thought this could be used to store instructions or photos or anything. But, you know, just to sort of support it right now, I put in a piece of double-sided scrapbook paper. And I've got this pinned right here. So you can see some of the paper is lined, some of it is blank. So I thought this would be great for drawing little sketches or keeping notes. This is just a little decorative piece that has, you know, lace, fabric, button. Here on the back is a piece of antique lace, and I've added this little paper flower, and it's got a snap, like a popper for the center. This is not genuine. It's it came with something, I don't know, but a scrapbook kit of some kind. So just tuck that in there for some color. Here is a vintage needle wrapper And I've just added a little piece of lace to the back of it and glued it to this shorter piece of paper. If you open it up, there's a little piece of paper in here that you can put a secret message. You can take this out and put something else in here if you like. And it just gets closed back up, but it can also be a tuck spot. So I made this little journaling card with some advertisements from a vintage magazine all about knitting yarn. So that just gets tucked there. Here's some more fabric ruffle with a piece of crocheted trim. Here's a tag that I've adhered there to make a tuck spot, and it's also from a piece of vintage embroidered linen. This is just a little collage. I feel like I missed something, but I guess I didn't. Little collage, and has these little daisy trim stitching on it and a button. It says, "There's nothing in the world so sweet as love." Here, I've added this little detail. It's not genuine. I think it must come with that mending yarn piece. So it's meant to be a label from a spool of thread. A little crochet motif that can be used as a tuck spot up there in that corner. Another fabric ruffle. This is a little vintage sewing kit that would have come from a hotel. And I've just removed the insides and added these little slips of paper. Instead of a staple, I stitched it. Get in there, you. Here's a little button card. It can be used as a tuck spot. So this is a genuine vintage button card that I altered by adding lace and stitching around it and sewing some buttons in place. Here's another vintage tag, vintage linen that I've made into a tag. It also has hand crocheted lace. Another fabric ruffle with a bead. Here's another tuck spot. This is a mason jar, and I've stitched all of these antique buttons to it. They're just gorgeous. And you can sort of see in the background that I made this tag out of instruction paper from a pattern, a sewing pattern, and then layered on top a piece of sewing pattern, like the tissue part. Another little tuck spot, and it has a ruffle of sewing tissue and some stitching and lace. And again, another little vintage pocket from an old tablecloth, and this is a vintage needle book. Whoop. So we'll just tuck that in there. And this matches so well, let's tuck that in there too. So if you're seeing this journal, it is listed on my Etsy store. Go over there and take a look. The link is down below in the description box. Thanks so much for watching my video. We'll talk to you again soon.